which one to do first. Let's do this one just because I feel like it's the most recent.
Hey.
Church. So it's Tom MacDonald, and Brandon Hart was the guy that was in the last video we just did. The guy with the beard.
Mm-hmm.
And Nova, yeah.
3 best friends.
I find out Nova can spit better than Tom again. She's lyrical. Like, that was the first time I actually heard her on a song.
Yeah, that was a pleasant surprise.
Yeah. So let's see what they got.
Like, I would love to hear them, like, battle rap. Like, that would be interesting.
I think that would be interesting. Who do you think would take it?
I mean, I gotta give Nova her credit.
Yeah, I think so.
Like, her flow is crazy.
I was gonna say the same thing. Yeah, her flow was on point.
I need a short drink or a long prayer. I've been sober, but I don't care. I'm so scared of my own self. I get no help, and that's no fair. So don't go there. I've been hell and back. I got scorched hair in this Gucci cap. I got empty bottles and 1 million follows. I regret swallowing the Ativan. Yeah, let's be real. I resent the way that I feel. I pretend that it's cool, but I miss getting drunk, and I'm angry that God doesn't help when I kneel. I said my prayers. When I got clean, it just got worse. I quit doing drugs and I pleaded with Jesus to save me, but he didn't hear my words. The don't work, it hurts. I went to church, now I need liquid courage. Whiskey in my glass, I take the knives out of my back to stir it. Go to hell and back again, then show you burns to prove I earned it. I need shots of God to gain the strength I need. I'm just a person. I pray on my way to the liquor store that they lock the door, 'cause I'll lay in my grave if the whiskey pours like it did before. I'm scared, I send out a prayer. Can anybody hear me? Is anybody there? 'Cause honestly it hurts and every day's worse. I keep buying whiskey when all I need is church. I keep talking to God, but he don't hear me. And my demons are there, always listening. I get lost in the dark, drowning in whiskey. And I went in so far, you say you miss me. I'm on a ship in a bottle, so say goodbye at the shore. Break the glass so you'll find me, I'm not who I was before. Close my eyes in the dark.
Wow, I love how he uses the ship in the bottle reference, where like you have to break it to get the ship.
Yeah.
And how he's not the same how he used to be before. And it makes me think about like the way that you input the ship into the bottle. I think it's like it's folded, but then it opens up when it's in the bottle. It's one of those things where like the way you put it in can't be taken out. And I love how he uses that as an analogy to how much he's changed. It's probably one of my favorites right now.
Yeah, I mean, I like that Tom, I mean, both of them, but I like how they touch on alcoholism and like being sober and being clean, because I feel like there's a big emphasis on just getting sober, getting clean. There's not enough emphasis on sustainability. And I think that's the hard part. Like, getting sober is easy. Like, that's the easy part. Like, the hard part is sustaining that sobriety.
Yeah.
You know, like anything else, sometimes it's easier to achieve something than it is to sustain it for a long period of time, because like we have all these times where we struggle, especially with stress. I think coping is like the hardest thing. Like, just coping with life or finding a positive way to cope with life is difficult, you know, because like it's always easier to cope with things that are typically not good for you. Like, people like to stress eat, and then just overindulge in shit like gambling, sex, drugs, drinking, because it's the fastest way to kind of relieve stress. So I think it's important to find that way to cope where it's like good for you and it's sustainable.
Break the glass so you'll find me, I'm not who I was before. Close my eyes in the darkness and hold on through the storm. I'm a wreck in a bottle, I wasn't built for a war. Those church pews, bright lights, whiskey glasses, bottles of booze. Make short days, turn long nights. The bottle, the Bible, I didn't know what to choose. I pray on my way to the liquor store that they lock the door, 'cause I'll lay in my grave if the whiskey pours like it did before. I'm scared, I send out a prayer. Can anybody hear me? still with me. My eyes can't see from the bottles of whiskey. I don't believe anybody will miss me. And I'm on my knees. Tell me, God, are you listening?
And I love how they say, like, I hope, like, he prays on the way to the liquor store and he hopes they're closed.
Mm-hmm.
It, like, indicates, like, how weak you are. And the only way you could not drink is if you really just don't have access to it. And I love that because there's a lot of truth behind that where, like, the only way to really quit something in your mind, it can't be an option. Like, if it's an option in your mind, it's very difficult to quit. Anything I've ever quit, any bad habit, like if in my mind, if it's actually an option, like I'll revert to it. But if it's not an option, like it's not even on the table, like, and that's the mindset you have to have when you quit. That's the only way you could really truly stop. And I like that analogy where it's like, I hope the liquor store is closed because then if it's open, it's an option, you know?
Yeah. I think that line itself is a representation as to how little control he has over it. Like the fact that he doesn't have the willpower to not go to the liquor store. It takes it being closed for him to stop. Yeah. Which is out of his control.
Because it makes me think of like even quitting like drugs. Like the first thing that I would recommend is deleting all your contacts. Like whoever you can buy drugs from, delete their contact info. You know, like you don't want to be able to access whatever it is that you're using. And when the easier the accessibility is to something, the easier it is to relapse. When it's so difficult to get something, it's hard to abuse it, you know? And I also like the religious references because I find a lot of times when people struggle with addiction, they start to, or when they start to struggle with sobriety, they start to cling on to religion as a way to cope. And I think that's why when they do all these drug programs and these 12-step programs, AA, NA, a lot of them have religious references, like the Serenity Prayer, stuff like that.
But for people who aren't religious, I think church can easily be replaced with just being sober. How like the answer is to be sober. Because I don't think some people could relate if they take the lyrics word for word. Because like I personally cannot relate to the whole alcohol part, but I can easily replace that with something else.
Yeah, we all have different set of addictions, you know.
Liquor store that they lock the door 'cause I'll lay in my grave. If the whiskey pours like it did before, I'm scared. I send out a prayer. Can anybody hear me? Is anybody there? 'Cause honestly it hurts and every day is worse. I keep buying whiskey when all I need is church.
I love this trio.
Yo, I was surprised that guy, Brandon Hart, got some vocals.
Yeah,
he could sing his ass off.
I wonder how long it took for them to create this song and like their whole creative process of making this song together.
Yeah, and the fact that like everything is just done internally, between like just their small team. Like anytime I look at their video, I always have that in mind because it's a lot harder when you got to do everything yourself, you know, and so much more time consuming.
Yeah. I'm picturing like Nova like being on screen and then like running back to the camera to like press record.
Yo, it's funny you say that. I was thinking the same thing because she's in the video, right? Yeah. So like I don't know if they have like a fourth person there to like just hold the camera or just to...
Well, I'm sure they have like a tripod.
Yeah.
I really love the part when he talks about something being blinded and then he shows himself wearing glasses and then the reflection of part of the cross. I don't know if you remember that part. I think that's so symbolic because the glasses symbolizes him being blinded by the whiskey. But then the reflection is like part of the cross. And I think it symbolizes him being in between the two.
Which actually makes sense because we all hold like these contradictory ideas and beliefs in our head, right?
Yeah. Like even that line he says, if I continue to pour the whiskey, I'll be laying in my grave. It's one of those things like you know it's bad for you, but you still can't help but want to do it.
Yeah. And I think that's why religion, like even though I'm not religious, I can see the purpose of religion. Like it holds a very strong purpose because that belief that you have where there's like with religion, there's always this moral of the story, and it's usually like there's this greater good, like there's these sacrifices you have to make, so there's a reason, there's a purpose as to why you should be sober, as to why you should be responsible and just be the best version of yourself, and it's illustrated in a lot of like these religious stories.
And I think that's why structure is tough, but it's our best friend, because I think of working out, for instance, like I don't think anyone can honestly say they love the aspect of working out, but they have structures in place so that they can implement that routine in their lives.
Yeah. And I don't even think it's a matter of like love. I think it's like work, right? Like you have times where you love to work and you love to work out, and you have times where you just dread it. You don't feel like doing it. I think that varies on a day-to-day basis. But ultimately, like it's something that you should do, just like you should eat, you should brush your teeth. Like I don't like brushing my teeth, but I know I should, So it's like it's these things that is good for you, but sometimes they're just difficult to do, or you just don't want to do it, but you should.